So the inauguration is this week.
Yeah, it is.
And I heard that they hired 35,000 National Guardsmen and put up a wall around the Capitol. Did you hear about that? I saw some
I heard
pictures of
that.
that. They put it up super quick, too.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a president that people want to meet, huh?
Not really.
Hello, this is Karen.
And this is Kevin.
And this is Right From Us. That's my point. Yeah, that sounds... I mean, when you look at pictures, it's almost... I mean, it's like you're looking at a communist country.
This whole thing seems surreal.
A wall, and they had to hire all these National Guardsmen to come in with guns to protect.
It's like a dictatorship coming into power. It is.
It's scary. There's an article in the Daily Wire. Love the Daily Wire, by the way. Highly recommend. It's called Unprecedented. Entire National Mall shut to public ahead of inauguration.
Unprecedented.
That's
kind of like the word for 2020, isn't it?
Well,
unprecedented. Everything's unprecedented.
But here's the thing:
It's
do
never
they
happened before.
normally shut down the mall for inauguration?
No, don't they open it up for people?
You know, honestly, I don't think I've ever really paid attention.
I really haven't.
So that
either.
was my first question, because I mean, is that really that unusual? But then they have a picture of a fence with barbed wire at the top of the fence. Now, is that normal? Do they have barbed wire at the top of the fence? And they put a bunch of additional fencing around the Capitol.
You know, I'm sure there's normally heightened security because, I mean, you've got like...
See, that's why I'm wondering if that's
5 ex-presidents there
course.
too, you know.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I get the heightened security because you got a lot of powerful people and they're in a vulnerable, like, one spot. So I get that. But the article says the entire National Mall was shut to the public Friday morning as one of the many unprecedented security measures being taken to protect next week's inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. Citing last week's violent riot at the Capitol, the National Park Service instituted a temporary public closure of the National Mall at the request of the U.S. Secret Service. So, they're basically using that. Okay. Would you consider what happened a riot? I consider what happened a disturbance.
No, it was a riot. I would say a riot. I mean, there were people shooting off. There was a pipe bombs. The pipe bombs didn't go off, but there were pipe bombs planted, and there were flares being
bombs planted.
Yes.
In the Capitol?
Yes, at both the Democrat and Republican headquarters or whatever.
Huh.
In the Capitol, and there were flares being shot off, fireworks being shot off. I don't know if there were any.
But is that, well, the pipe bombs aside, that sounds more like a disturbance to me than a riot. Like fireworks and stuff.
Then the police were firing rubber bullets at the crowd. That sounds like a riot to me.
Yeah.
I would say it's a riot. It's not a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
It's not. Well, it's mostly peaceful. That kind of like the the BLM.
No, wait a minute.
The BLM peaceful protests were mostly peaceful.
Fair. Well, I know.
They were mostly peaceful. So if it's not entirely peaceful, it's not peaceful, and it's a riot.
So the other thousands of people that were there, they were peaceful.
Hundreds of thousands of people.
So you're going to label that event as a riot because 3/4 of the people, 98% of the people that were there were peaceful.
Yeah.
That's a shame to me. That
there were some really bad people there that really spoiled it for a lot of people. But I guess when you get
thousands of people together, I mean, you have to expect there are going to be a handful of people that are jerks, that radicals.
Yeah, unfortunately, all the good people are getting blamed for a few bad actors that were there. Yeah. Did you hear about the one guy? His name is Ariel Pink.
Mm-mm.
He's a musician that was there at the rally, and he was just there. He left shortly after President Trump's remarks and went to his hotel room to take a nap. He's a musician. I guess he was tired from the night before or something.
Well, sure.
And his record label has dropped him just because he was at the rally.
That is so alarming to me that we have gotten to a point in this country where you cannot say or do anything without real life repercussions, either getting fired from your job or having a book deal canceled, like Josh Hawley.
Yeah, Josh Hawley's book was about. His book was an anti-censorship book about big tech, and it
Well, how
it got
ironic is
canceled.
that?
Yeah,
Huh. I didn't know what it was about.
Yeah,
I just figured
it's-
it was about his life or
yeah,
something.
it's about the big tech
Huh.
control and
Interesting.
censorship, apparently.
Well,
So that's kind of ironic there.
I mean, honestly, our YouTube channel, right from us, I mean, at some point I kind of figured just the title alone is going to get us censored. Not that I expect to get big enough for them to, get their attention, but still.
Well, yeah.
I mean, do they have their algorithms and their robots and their spiders that crawl over the place and look for keywords to shut down?
Yeah, we're in a kind of a scary time with this censorship stuff. I mean, like the PBS attorney, an attorney for PBS was calling for Trump supporters' children to go to re-education camps.
What?
Uh-huh.
Wait, what? Repeat that? What did you just say?
An attorney working for PBS, the
Yeah.
public broadcast system,
Right?
was calling for children of President Trump supporters to be sent to re-education camps to be deprogrammed.
Deprogrammed to think like them.
Yeah, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
To not ask questions.
That's on the list,
and-
number 7, if you want to look at it.
That is insane.
Oh,
That is insane.
Yeah.
That is scary. That is scary right there. When,
Well, I mean, there's been a few other things like that too, where people are calling for cleansing of Trump supporters and the cleansing of the Republican Party and that sort of thing.
because that's what Trump said all along too. Is like, once I'm out of the way, who are they going to go after next? Us, the supporters, the people that don't think like them, the conservatives, the Republicans. And I guess they're trying. Just let that sink in for a moment. Just let that sink in. That is some scary stuff. That we have gotten to a point where they are starting to dictate what we can and cannot say, where we can and cannot go, what we can and cannot do.
Yeah, just because you disagree with them. So I
Or
could
you
come up
ask
with
a simple question like, okay, so, or just even clarification, like, what do you mean exactly? Doesn't matter what I mean. This is what I said. Take it as gospel.
you can't question or disagree. That'd be like me. Every time you disagree with me, I'll just turn your mic off. I'll turn your mic off, and I do the video editing too. I'll just make sure that you're not in the shot.
Well, okay, if you want to, but there will be repercussions. But no, I think that's what bothers me the most, because I've always been a big, question authority, ask questions, kind of person my entire life. And now that you dare to do it, people, I mean, it scares me. It kind of leaves me speechless, honestly. I don't even know what to think right now where we are in this country.
Well, as a writer, you're a writer. Just think if you wrote the wrong thing.
Exactly.
And you just
Exactly.
you just get wiped out.
Right.
You're assuming you had a writing contract or whatever, a book deal or whatever.
Right.
You just get wiped out.
But just the thought of that possibility scares me enough to comply. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine it actually happening. I can't imagine how terrifying that is.
Scared you enough to comply? What do you mean by that?
By shutting up,
Yeah.
not questioning, taking what they're telling me as gospel, and yes, sir, I'll get in line right away, sir. That kind of thing. Because I kind of feel like that's where we are. That's scary. If that doesn't scare you guys, then it should. Because that's not good. That is not a good place to be.
Well, actually, hell is freezing over right now because the ACLU is actually coming out against this censorship, especially the censorship of President Trump's Facebook and Twitter accounts.
Yeah,
from
but I
what he
can't
said.
help but think there's got to be an ulterior motive. There's got to be something in it for them, because they're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things like this going on. Forbes magazine editor came out and said that any company that hires anybody that's worked for President Trump is going to
Yeah.
have repercussions in their magazine, but basically be spoken of negatively. But then Steve Forbes came out and said, no, that's not right. So, but I mean, there's people out there that are saying this stuff.
It says it was an article in the Newsweek. It was an excerpt. A legislative council member of the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, warned Friday that the suspension of President Donald Trump's social media accounts wielded unchecked power by Twitter and Facebook. A council at ACLU said in a statement that the decision to suspend Trump from social media could set a precedent for big tech companies to silence less privileged voices.
Yeah, and Jack Dorsey, you know, the
Hate that
guy.
word privilege, by the way.
Yeah, the guy from Twitter the guy from Twitter said that
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey said that
He's an asshole. I know. Well, it's true.
we're gonna have to wash your mouth out with soap. But but he said that was I don't know the exact quote, but basically he's saying that's a sign of things to come, and there's going to be more.
Oh,
basically.
yeah. That was like some kind of undercover recording of what he said. Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah.
Which is translation means I wasn't really listening to him. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that's scary stuff. Like Trump said, I mean, we're next. They're out to squash opposition in any shape, form, you know. So here we are. I mean, guys, if you voted for Biden, I mean, careful what you wish for, because there's no telling what kind of roller coaster we're going to be on the next 4 years. And, you know, even though we have the possibility of turning this around somewhat in 2 years with, you know, more House and Senate elections, did you hear what Rush Limbaugh said? I mean, he doesn't think that's going to help at all. He just basically says that it's time to start fighting, basically, is what he said. Stop being such a nice guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the Democrats always go crazy and they protest and they lay down in the middle of the street and everything like that. And us Republicans are not, I'm not necessarily Republican, but Republicans are people on the right are like, you know, just looking at them like they're nut jobs.
Well, it's
But
because
they're getting stuff done. And look, they
Exactly.
are in control of all the branches of government, the media, the education system,
the social media.
You know, but by these crazy nut job tactics, they've basically gained control of everything.
Well, and this last election has set the ground for future elections or future cheating. Now it's going to become the norm. And again, don't you dare question
Alleged cheating.
Cheating.
You can't say that.
Okay, alleged
Yeah.
cheating.
Yeah, see, there we go. We can't say certain things.
Yeah, see, there you go. We're already censoring ourselves because we wouldn't want Big Brother to come down hard on us. Boy, this stuff is upsetting. It really is. I cannot believe we're here. I just can't believe it.
You know, Twitter terminated President Trump's account and just wiped it out, basically. But
Right.
there's this other thing called Gab, apparently, that's like Twitter. And they had been backing everything up, so they just restored everything.
Yeah,
So it's all
I'm
apparently
part
it's
of-
all back out there.
Yeah, I have an account on Gab.
Do you?
I do.
Did you check it out? I mean, did you check to see if President Trump's tweets are actually
Oh
there?
no, I haven't checked to see.
I think that's
didn't
so
hear
funny.
that Trump was on Gab now, but that's cool. Gab was actually down for quite a few days, but they seem to be back up and running. I think they were down primarily because there was just so much traffic that it crashed them. That you couldn't handle the extra traffic, and of course, Parler disappeared entirely.
Yeah,
Parler is now
they're
gone.
still frantically trying to get back up,
Wow,
though.
I don't know. I saw an article today that the CEO doesn't think it's looking good for them to come back. So
I think he's just saying that because, you know, they've got a lawsuit with Amazon right now.
man, I hope they sue the britches off of him.
Well, they are, and they're going to win that lawsuit.
I hope so. Because there's got to be some repercussions to these big tech companies. There has to be. There's just no stopping them. I mean, the government's definitely not going to do it. And it seemed like there was something I read too about the Mexican governor, or no, the Mexican president was trying to work out some kind of law with his legislative, however it is in Mexico, because of what happened to President Trump, that it scared him enough that he didn't want the same thing happening to him in his country. that he was looking at laws or some kind of policy where they couldn't do the same thing to him. So, I mean,
Right.
Oh man, I seriously don't even know what to say about all this censorship. It just gets my blood boiling so much. I can't stand it.
So back, we kind of got off on that tangent by we were talking about the inauguration that's coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And all the security and how it looks. It just seems like a.
I mean, if you guys will just Google, like the pictures are third world.
I really haven't even seen the pictures, but
I just watched a reporter. He was walking around with his, phone camera and stuff, and was just taking pictures and walking around, and it looks like a third world country. The barriers and the whole setup. And again, I understand there has to be some security because of those fringe people, which, by the way, can we just clarify that the people that rioted at the Capitol are not a representation of Republicans?
There are some pretty wacko people there, and actually some Antifa people there. Antifa people were encouraging.
Right.
And waving people in. So it's like you can't blame it all on Trump supporters. And the people that were actually Trump supporters that were there were not like your typical Trump supporter. They were pretty wacko, like the guy in the buffalo horns with all the tattoos.
I don't know what he was doing. Good grief. I think he had too many beers or something before he got started.
But anyway.
But I just want to point out that is not, just because you have a group of fringe crazies does not mean that represents the entire country. And I think that's where all of the stories and the social medias and all that stuff is making it sound like that is representative of conservatives and Republicans alike.
Should President Trump, though, since there's going to be crazy people out in the audience, should he be aware of that and maybe tone things down a little bit in a speech?
Now, that is an interesting thing, because last week when we talked, and I dared to imply that perhaps some of the unrest was due to President Trump's verbiage, you got a little upset with me.
No, his verbiage was perfect. I mean,
I wouldn't call it perfect.
I thought it was fine. He did talk about the alleged election issues a lot. And then he said, we're going to march down to the Capitol and peacefully and patriotically protest.
And see,
and the thing about it is the riot had actually started before at that point.
Right. They were already at the Capitol.
Before people could even get down there.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a planned way in advance deal, because people had hammers, they had fireworks, flares, and all kinds of stuff.
Right. But I'm not talking specifically about that speech. I'm talking about the speech.
Just overall?
Oh, over months.
Yeah.
Months of, weeks, months. Well, yeah, of
but,
the alleged election fraud and all that stuff.
He has never called for
No,
violence.
he's never called for violence, but the mere fact that he's, I should have won, and it's a bunch of cheating and a bunch of fraud and everything, that just got people fired up.
I mean, what would you do if you were sure that you got cheated out of a victory?
I don't think I would have handled it like President Trump. No, I think I would. He should have. I think he was a little too careless in the way he talked about it and presented it. And when you're dealing with millions of people, you have to be careful in your speech. You have to be careful in what you say and how you say it, because a lot of people, they don't have common sense. They just go basically on emotions only.
Yeah. Yeah, he.
That was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, I mean, I know last week I said, he's from New York, and that's how people from New York talk. But he is the president, and probably could be a little bit more diplomatic and presidential sometimes.
Yes.
Okay, here's a quote. Let's play a little game here. Let's here's a quote from somebody. Let's see if you can guess who this is. And here is the quote. I don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. Who said that?
I don't know.
President Trump or Nancy Pelosi?
Definitely Pelosi.
Yeah. And she said that when the BLM riots were going on.
Right.
Couldn't that be construed as saying,
yes.
You're
absolutely, 100%.
encouraging rioting?
But, it's because she said it, there's no repercussions. because, she said it, so she can get away with anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if the news media would just do their jobs and go back and look at some of the things that the Democrats were saying all along, this whole year has been just, one riot and one thing after another. BLM and Antifa things. I mean, Portland's been like under siege the whole year practically, haven't they, up there?
There's no such thing as a media anymore.
And just if they would just go back and take a look at what the Democrats have been saying and are not saying.
It's never going to happen. Because the media doesn't work for the people. They work for their own interests, and they work for, the Democrats.
Okay, here's another quote. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Pelosi.
That's what President Trump said. Peacefully and patriotically protest.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no. Peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Yeah.
And for that, he got impeached this week. Oh, that's the big thing that happened this week, the impeachment vote.
Okay.
The drive-through impeachment happened this week.
He technically did not get impeached.
Well, they voted. How does that work?
He technically has never been impeached. The first time, because the Senate shot it down, right?
Right. They bring the charges up in the House of Representatives, and then the Senate has to vote for it.
Correct.
To convict.
And that did not happen the first time, and it's not going to happen the second
He
time.
got-
And yet, the media, and I use that term so loosely, they're touting that, it's unprecedented that the president has been impeached twice in the history of the country. And technically, he hasn't been impeached once. They tried, but they failed both times.
Yeah, he's going to be out of office on Wednesday, but yet the Senate is supposedly going to go through the trial.
Whatever.
After he's out of office. That makes no sense whatsoever.
What?
He's out of office.
When does anything they do make sense?
Well, I mean, this is the Senate, which, Mitch McConnell's saying he's going to.
Which, by the way, those dang Republicans.
They don't have any backbone, that's for
spineless
sure.
Jellyfish.
They don't have any backbone. It's like
They're ruining it. They are. They're just ruining it. If they would just stand up, because that's one thing I can say about the Democrats. They rally together as one unit, and they stand together, and no matter how crazy it gets, they don't back down. And the Republicans back down at the first whiff of controversy.
They're always afraid of what the news media is going to say. It's like, you guys, the news media is going to say bad stuff about you no matter what.
It doesn't matter. We are way past that point. The media no longer exists.
They should
it's just
ignore
a group of people that have one agenda. That's it. And they have no interest in the truth. They don't care about the people. They're only there to push an agenda. Period. So I don't know why they're even worried about it. Like, why even think about it? Just do what's right.
Whatever the Republicans do, the news media is going to say it's bad. So
exactly. So you might as well do the right thing.
Yeah. But apparently the moment, actually the day after the inauguration, there's going to be there's apparently articles of impeachment are going to be filed against Biden the next day by this.
First of all, that's very satisfying to hear.
Yeah.
But realistically, for what though?
Well, nothing. I mean, nothing's going to come of it. But, the Republicans always go, well, that's just going to be a waste of time. Why should we do it? But that's not what the Democrats just go for everything no matter what.
But
no matter what, how crazy it is.
Well, let's be completely fair, though. I mean, if the Democrats don't have any legs to stand on and they're trying to impeach President Trump, what in the world are they trying to impeach Biden for?
Well,
now I'm not saying
all the information on Hunter Biden's laptop. There's one thing, and then the thing that they impeached President Trump for the first time this year was that call to Ukraine, where he basically said we're going to withhold money because of this. Joe Biden admitted that he did the same exact thing. He was withholding like $1 billion or something like that, unless Ukraine fired this prosecutor. that was going after Hunter Biden, and they've got that. He was bragging about that, so they've got the same thing. It's not while he was president.
It's
That
not
probably
gonna go
that might make a
anywhere.
difference, but
Well, I think it's going to make a huge difference, but I don't know. It's not going to go anywhere because the GOP are just a bunch of spineless jellyfish. But I feel like impeaching, that word's been tossed around so much in the last few years that it's just completely watered down now and no longer really means anything. Kind of like being called a racist. I mean, you're a racist for everything you do. So
yeah, just disagree with somebody,
It has
and
lost its meaning. It
you're
no
a
longer
racist
really
now.
means anything.
just because you disagree with somebody.
Yeah. Which, by the way, why do people care what other people call them? I just don't I genuinely don't understand why people are scared of being called a racist. Are you a racist? No, you're not. Then who cares what other people think? I genuinely don't understand why they're so scared of that word, and that they completely do uncharacteristic things. Because, oh my gosh, please don't call me a racist. I'll do whatever you ask. Who cares? Do you, boo?
Well, I mean, the new thing is, the new thing was being called a white supremacist,
Which
and
again,
now the new thing is being called a traitor.
people
that's
don't
the
even
new-
know what the meaning of these words are.
That's the new the new
White
racist is traitor
supremacist? They don't even know what that means.
and white privilege. Yeah, that's crazy.
There's that word again, privilege. I
it's
hate
that-
that word. I don't hate that word. Nobody is privileged over anyone. You work hard. If you work hard, you get what you get. There's no privilege. You may be born in a better situation and things may come easier for you, but that's not called privilege. That's just the way it is. That's just your circumstances.
Right. So, President.
Doesn't want to go down that road.
So
Apparently.
Biden, he's going to call for mandatory masks the first 100 days of his presidency. So you can just get ready for that. In Springfield, I'm not supposed to say that.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, there's a lot of Springfields out there. But anyway, we've got a former mayor that has set up a Facebook page that.
Well, now it's going to be really easy to figure out which Springfield.
Just forget I said that. He set up a Facebook page for people to take pictures of people not wearing masks at businesses, so that the police can go after the businesses for not requiring their customers to wear masks.
Again, I don't even know what to say. Some of this stuff just renders me speechless.
It's like, do these same people, when someone jaywalks, do they take pictures of people jaywalking?
I just don't understand what place you're coming from that you feel compelled to call and tattle on someone.
Yeah, they encourage people to call
Why
911.
do you think you're so much better than everybody?
Yeah, you're supposed to call 911 when you don't see someone's not wearing a
Here's
mask.
the thing about masks. If you're wearing your mask, you're protected, right? So what do you care if anybody else is wearing a mask? You're protected. What does it matter? Go about your business. I just don't understand these people that feel compelled to get in other people's business. It's none of your business. Go away.
So anyway, there's this. I was watching a video. I have this problem whenever I wear a mask that my glasses fog up. So
Yeah.
there was this video that showed you could put facial tape on your mask. Put facial tape on and hold it down to your face. I'm just wondering what your face would look like after the end of the day when you rip that tape off.
So you just rip a little bit of skin off. What big deal? you just exfoliate or whatever you call it, your face, unintentionally.
Yeah, I was actually at a business today that had been visited by the police for not requiring their customers to wear masks. On the front door of their business, they just have a note that says, if you're not wearing a mask in our business, we're going to assume you have a medical condition, and we're not going to require you to wear a mask.
And yet someone felt compelled, for the good of the people, they're just trying to protect you. They felt compelled to tattletale.
Yeah, we got this other thing. We're kind of on the subject of COVID now. We got up in Quebec. There's this guy that I watch. It's got a YouTube channel up there, and Quebec is under lockdown and a curfew from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. You cannot go out of your house.
Well, because COVID's rampant at that time period, so we gotta hide from
Yeah.
it and make sure it doesn't get you.
But you can go out. You can go out to walk your dog, but not your cat.
Okay, you know what's coming. They're going to start making costumes for cats. They're going to start dressing their dogs in cats and dog costumes, and so they can go out and walk their cat. This is insane. This is so insane. I saw a couple of pictures today of some band students playing the flute, and this poor little girl was playing. And I don't know. This cannot be real. It cannot be real. And I don't know if I find a picture. Can you flash that up?
Yeah.
For people to see.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But it's she has a mask on, but the band across her nose and her cheeks are still intact, but they have cut an entire hole out in the middle. So her mask consists of cheek covers and a band across her nose.
I mean, earlier in the year, I saw some guys.
I feel sorry for that child. She's got to feel ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't believe her parents allowed. I would have been like, "Oh no, you're not. That's stupid."
Yeah. Earlier in the year, I saw some band pictures where they had cut a little. The guy was playing a saxophone. They cut a little thing for his reed, his mouthpiece
These
to
poor
fit in.
band kids.
And then they had like the other part of the mask over the end of the saxophone. But there's air coming out through all the keys, so
Yes, of course. I get it now, because you wouldn't want any air coming from the saxophone bell to get up into, oh my gosh.
But
we live in some insane times.
Yeah, back to the Quebec. Apparently some people, since you can go out, you can take your dog for a walk. People were taking their spouses out with a leash on, and they got fined. And apparently it's a $1,500 fine if you are out.
But you have to admit that's pretty funny.
And another controversy up there is that they have given $1,500 fines to homeless people.
Oh my Lord. Are you kidding me?
Because they weren't at home.
Seriously, guys, this is insane. I can't believe we haven't started standing up and saying, okay, enough is enough. This is ridiculous. Seriously.
Push people so far, and there's going to, you talk about riots, there's going to be.
Actually, I saw something today, as a matter of fact. There was a pub. No, there's several restaurants in Ireland, and they're done. They're going about business as usual. The police have shown up. Everybody refuses to leave, and they chant freedom in their language. And it was actually really great.
Ireland, isn't that English?
Well, I don't know what they were speaking, because it was a foreign language, and maybe I have my countries wrong, but there was some country.
Well, there
are
riots
fed up and they're
in
done.
Belgium right now, big time, because of the lockdowns. Yeah.
Not just in Belgium, but there are other countries too that are rioting, aren't they? Protesting, rioting. I guess it depends. If you're violent, then you're rioting.
I mean, Australia,
It hasn't. Australia.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all over the place,
locked down
actually.
for a while.
It's just all over the place.
Well, my point being, I think people are finally starting to have enough, and I think that's how we're going to finally end up getting out of this. Is people are just going to put their foot down and just start saying, "Nope, I'm not doing it anymore. This is ridiculous."
Well, here in the United States, they're actually some of the governors are actually asking for things to be open back up.
Yep, because COVID's no longer a threat now that Joe Biden's coming into office.
After January 20th.
Is that not insane?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Again, it's scary.
Sick. And
I don't even know.
Actually.
I have no words for how disgusting that all is.
That really is.
That they've ruined the economy on purpose, but now that they're back in power, they've gotten their way, and they want unity, guys. They want unity.
Yeah.
Now that they're in office, we need to all come together and do what they say. Then we can all get along and move on. There's an article.
And we're getting up there in time, by the way.
Okay. There's an article, Los Angeles Public School. Students must get COVID-19 vaccine when offered to return. So there you go.
That's going to be a thing.
It begins.
The CDC came out this week, said that people, United States citizens coming back from UK have to have proof of the vaccine.
Yep. It starts.
No, no, no,
It's
no.
starting.
They have to have a negative COVID-19 test or proof that they've recovered from COVID-19.
Yeah, but this is the first article I've seen where they won't let you do something unless you have the vaccine.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
is, so it
it's
begins.
starting. And Bill Gates again is talking about the vaccine passport. It's
Yeah.
it's coming, people.
It's coming,
That's
whether you
gonna be
want to or
something-
not. I mean, you
if
don't have
wanna-
to get it, but you're not going to be able to do anything.
You're not going to be able to travel.
They're not
for
going to let
sure.
you do anything. And
But,
that's
I mean,
that's to say. I mean, that's just overseas. What if they say you can't travel to another state
Yeah.
unless you can show that you've had the vaccine?
Yeah,
I kind of feel like that's coming.
There's going to be all kinds of things like that. Like you can't go to a concert unless you have this
Right.
proof.
Right. Exactly.
But I mean, on the flip side of that, there's always been countries that have required certain vaccines to get to the country. You know, like malaria or whatever.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Let's be completely fair. That's true, and probably warranted because those are pretty deadly diseases. But it's just hard to agree with COVID when it's been proven that it's not that deadly.
yeah, it's a deadly disease. 0.02%
Right.
for people under the age of 65.
And again, I'm so thankful that it's not more deadly. I just wish our reaction had been a little bit more sane because it has not been sane.
The first 2 months, nobody really knew what was going on. But after that, it's like,
And again, I feel like we just dug ourselves into a hole and we didn't know how to gracefully get out of it. And then
Right.
politicians are like, you know what? This power is pretty awesome.
Right.
I don't think I want to give up this power because this is pretty great. Okay, so let's move on to some lighter stuff here. I saw the cover of Vogue was Kamala Harris. She's actually kind of upset about the photo they chose. It's more of an informal photo, and it shows her kind of in a power suit, but she's wearing Converse, and it's a very relaxed stance, and it's just not very vice presidential. Anyway, my point of bringing this up is she was wearing those Converse sneakers, and everybody's now Converse is like everybody wants Converse sneakers now because Kamala Harris was wearing them. Gosh, it makes me want to go out and get them too. Not. But what is so annoying about this that people are they're so gullible. They're so easily persuaded one way or another. And it's just like people just don't. Why? Please think for
Well,
yourselves.
I mean, that's
Why
just-
is it so important for you to
that's
have
just-
Converse just because Kamala Harris is wearing them? Are you secretly wanting to be her? I don't understand that compulsion.
that's just advertising. That's why they have basketball players wearing
But
certain tennis shoes.
I
and
guess
things
I'm
like
trying
that.
to bring this up to show that, like celebrities and, it's just, they're so influential.
Yeah.
And people are just so easily swayed
Yeah.
by what they say, and they don't know anything. They're being paid to entertain you, and you're taking everything they say as gospel truth. It just
Yeah.
never it ceases to amaze me. Let's see. Also, oh, did you know that I saw an article today that since Trump was banned from Twitter and he doesn't really have any other way of communicating with the citizens, that that the White House has been reduced to smoke signals. Smoke signal for rigged election seen rising from White House lawn. I died when I saw that. Of course, that's not true. That's just from the Babylon Bee. But
Which is a funny website.
oh my gosh, it makes me laugh out loud. It's so funny. Trump hides nuclear codes in Bible where Pelosi will never find them.
She's supposedly a devout Catholic.
Well, I don't know. It was just funny to read that.
That's funny.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else kind of funny? Did you find anything that was kind of funny? Oh, here's something interesting. Kind of off topic, but I found that Fox News ratings crash, trailing CNN and MSNBC for the first time since 2000. Wow. Fox News is now behind CNN and MSNBC. Is that not crazy? That's how much they've changed over this past year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that holds up, really, because, people forget.
But numbers don't lie,
Yeah.
Mr. Accountant.
I know, but people forget why they're mad at somebody, and they'll, of course, they'll probably watch ABC or, CNN for a while and get so mad they'll go back to Fox.
No, I don't think so. Because have you watched Fox lately?
I've never watched Fox.
It's pretty blatantly biased
I don't watch
now.
anything.
I mean, it's just like watching CNN and the other crazies out there. So I don't know. I think they're definitely shooting themselves in the foot, and it'll be interesting to see, if the executives pay attention to that and start changing things around. But if not, then, well, Fox, it was nice knowing you. So, okay. So how are we doing on time?
Bad.
Bad?
We're way over time.
Well, I think we should start doing this for an hour.
It's like time right now.
Well, we have so much to talk about. There's just a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of my opinions to voice. Okay, let's lighten this up a little bit. Questions for Couples Journal. This is a segment that Kevin always looks forward to every week, and I love doing it because I love torturing him. All right. In relationships, do you consider yourself a risk taker, or are you risk adverse?
Risk taker in a relationship?
In relationships. So do you like playing it safe, or do you like taking risks?
I don't understand what the question.
Well,
I don't
like
really
for
understand
instance,
the
when we
question.
first met, do you feel like it was a risk asking me or making that bet? Which, by the way, those of you that don't know the story, so we were both bank tellers, and I balanced every night practically because I was so good at my job, and Kevin did not. He was always just a few cents off. So our company.
It was my coin machine.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure it was defective. But the company Christmas party was coming up, and he bet that if he balanced to the penny, then we would go together, right? Or we would meet there and sit together. I don't know what it was, but something like that. Kind of like a date, but not a date, kind of like. And to my surprise, he balanced. So I thought, well, a bet's a bet. So that was kind of our first official date, and then, the rest is history. And then I found out years later that he actually lied. He hadn't balanced to the penny. But I don't know. As far as relationships, I'm risk adverse. I don't really take. Okay, let's look at beyond. That's kind of a weird question. So
I don't really understand the
Let's look
question.
beyond the relationships then. So in general, in life, would you say you're a risk taker or risk averse?
It kind of depends what category we're talking about.
Okay, so let's say finances.
Well, finances, for the most part, I'm risk averse. But then there are certain things that I do that are kind of risky because...
I know, I don't want you to tell me because it makes me sweat.
Yeah.
But
overall, risk averse.
yeah, definitely risk averse. I am not a risk taker. Like skydiving or anything like
I would
that.
not.
That's to me that's
maybe
risk.
at one time I would do that, but I don't know. Maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe I just stopped. I don't do risky things. Actually, 10 years ago after my
when your motorcycle accident. Yeah,
I
that
don't
makes
do
sense.
anything
Yeah,
like that
kind
anymore.
of put the kibosh on that for
Right.
sure. How much money would you like to have saved up at the end of the year? And how about 5 years?
At the end of the year?
At the end of the year, at the end of this year, how much money would you like to have saved up? You don't have to be specific, but I don't know. Okay, be specific. Like $10,000, $20,000. He's already over these questions.
$200. I don't know. I don't really think that way.
Well, because we're both savers. We
Yeah.
do not. We're not big spenders. We are big savers.
We live very frugally.
Very frugally.
Very frugally.
For the most part.
But then we have-
At least
we
one of us
have-
does.
Then we have sort of an extravagant vacation every year. Kind of not overly extravagant. It's kind of like a frugally extravagant vacation, if that's if that's possible.
We're kind of hybrid people, really.
Yeah.
We kind of are.
Because overall, we're very, very frugal. But then,
Okay, but to explain that, like for instance, we go on very nice vacations, but we also we save up frequent flyer miles and we cash that in
Yeah.
for our flights.
Yeah.
Because we're going to spend that money anyway, we might as well get some points out of the deal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like
take
we get
take
good
advantage of
deals
all
on
the
stuff.
Very good deals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we
For
don't
sure.
really end up spending that much money, but it seems extravagant, but really it's not because we're getting it essentially for free.
Speaking of money, side note, do you want to talk about how much in healthcare I paid?
No, let's not get into that.
Okay.
I mean, that's healthcare. That is just ridiculous. But let's not get into that.
Okay. It's bad. Let me just say that. Because I got my W-2, so we were looking at it. It's like bad. really bad. Okay, so are you still in touch with your childhood friends?
Well, I was until about 2 months ago when I canceled my Facebook account.
Oh, right. Has it been 2 months? It has not been 2 months.
It's been probably at least a month. And I canceled it after, I don't even remember what I canceled it.
Well,
but it just kind of built up, and it's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But I was in contact with a lot of my friends,
Yeah.
my childhood friends.
I am not. And no offense to any of you that know me out there, but I just don't care to. To me, it's like my high school friends. I mean, I'm not even the same person I was in high school.
Yeah, in
So
some ways,
it's hard for me to go back.
It's a little bit, I don't know if weird's the word for it, but
Uncomfortable?
I don't know, because you change
Bizarre.
a lot.
Oh my gosh. I'm not even the same person. We're not even the same people we were when we got married.
Yeah.
Let alone back when we were in high school.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see where everybody has ended up, but as far as like talking to them or doing something
Yeah.
with them, that would just be kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre. Yeah. And the last one, we make decisions both big and small every day. Which ones do you involve your partner in and why?
Well, I mean, basically nothing. Except if it's like a big purchase.
Oh, now au contraire.
Like a big purchase or
I
something.
have a story about that.
If it's some big purchase over a certain dollar amount.
I'll never forget when I came home and there was a big, huge canoe in the garage, and someone bought that without consulting me, and that was like $600. And I was not too happy about that. So for me, I don't consult you for anything. But if it's a high dollar purchase, then for sure, then I'm going to consult you. Because I think that's
Yeah.
only, it's only out of respect because
Yeah.
it's
Right.
our money and I wouldn't do it behind your
Right.
back. So, okay, he is dying to get off of here. So I guess we're going to stop talking now. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
And if you're listening on the podcast, don't forget about our YouTube channel, Right From Us.
Yeah,
And if you're
that's
on the
RIGHT, right from us.
if you're looking at us on the YouTube, don't forget to listen to the podcast.
If you're looking at us on the YouTubes.
Yeah. And last week I think I thought that some of our listeners had superpowers because I said you can see us on the podcast.
I'm sure they were like, what?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how it's okay to keep going when he has something to say? All right. I guess we've talked your ear off enough. Thanks for listening. Thanks for
All right,
listening
thank
to
you.
us babble.
Yep.
We'll talk to you next
Thank
week.
you. Bye.
Bye.